Welcome to the Artist Advisory Hotline, the podcast for artists who want valuable guidance and honest answers on how to grow their careers and develop their new project from leading art world experts and artists. Here's your host and founder of the Artist Advisory, Marina Press Granger. Tune in as she gets you the answers you deserve. Hello, artists, and welcome to the Artist Advisory Hotline. I'm your host, Marina Granger, and today on the hotline, we have 4 recent graduates of the Artist Academy. We have these 4 amazing women to whom I'm so grateful for giving me the time to come and be on this podcast and to tell you a little bit about what they have learned inside my course, inside the Artist Academy, to share some of their biggest takeaways, their aha moments, and give you some advice on what it's like to work with me, right? Now, I gotta say, these women are so powerful. They're so amazing, and they're a great representation of the artists who have been taking this course. And I just want to say, if you resonate with me, you're probably going to resonate with the other people who are interested in this course. So the Artist Academy begins on March 31st. The way that this course works is it teaches you how you can up-level your career by being very much authentic to who you are and by polishing off your presentation so that you can be so prepared when you get in front of the right people. And one of the ways that this course is so special is it teaches you how you can get in front of the right people by being truly authentic to yourself. And you will hear in this episode how these artists have done it already, and they're so amazing. And the course just finished. Now, the way that the course works is we meet once every 2 weeks for a live group Q&A for 4 months. And before you meet in the live group Q&A, there is a pre-recorded module that you get to have 2 weeks to go through at your own leisure. And each module takes about an hour. So in less than 2 hours a week, you can take your career to the next level. And I assure you that this course is for artists of all levels. So even if you've been working for 2 years or 4 decades or 6 decades sometimes. It's so important. Although now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, have we ever had anyone who's been working for 60 years? I don't know. But we just had someone inside this course who's been working for 45 years and has had so many amazing opportunities, museum solo shows, and she is just amazing. I wish I could have had her in this podcast. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have invited her. But this was a little last minute because I was sick unexpectedly. And, everything I do, even though the modules are pre-recorded, everything I do is very much something that requires my presence, that requires my attention, that requires me to be live. And that is why the artists that take this course feel like they're getting my undivided attention. And in reality, they really are. And so anyway, back to it. And this course is for artists of all levels. Even if you've been doing this for 2 years or 40 years, it doesn't matter. As long as you have an objective, as long as you are consistently making work, whatever that means for you, whether that's 2 or 3 works a year because they take you a really long time to do, or whether it's 2 or 3 artworks a week, right? It doesn't matter. What matters is that this course is here to show you how you can really harness your power in the art world. There has been an enormous shift in power in the art world. I noticed it in early on. I think it was like 2008, and I was working at a gallery, and we sold something online for the first time, like on Facebook. And the owners of the gallery could not believe it. They were like, "Marina, you can't, what? A Facebook sale?" And it happened. It was real. And since then, it's just become such a beautiful thing that the internet is actually giving you so much more power, because you can not only control the way that your work is presented to the world, but you can get in touch with so many people that you were not able to get in touch with before. And so this course really teaches you how to do that, how to navigate it without being weird, because, and I think somebody said this in the interview. They were like, I can now like follow up without feeling weird, right? Because it's totally okay. So anyway, you don't have to hear it from me. You have to hear it from these wonderful women. So here we are. Here's my interview with Chelsea Beaudrie, Laurie Landry, Kate Rusek, and Ariana Tavares. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the other side.
Deserve.
Hello, and thank you all so much for being here. You have all just completed the Artist Academy, and I'm so, so grateful to you for not only believing in me, but for your time and investing into this program. So thank you so much, and congratulations. And I'm so, so proud of you. I wanted to see if we could just quickly go around to the Zoom room and have you introduce yourselves to our listeners.
Hi, I'm Laurie Landry, and I'm a painter from Vancouver, BC. And I use gestures, facial expressions, and body movement to communicate concepts. I'm a queer deaf artist, so I am fascinated by the power of hands to convey meanings and emphasize spoken statements. In my oil paintings, I showcase gesture hands with contemporary subjects using expressive brushstrokes to invite the viewers to connect and understand beyond desired boundaries. Through my paintings, I aim to break down barriers and create a more inclusive world where all communications are celebrated. And
I love that. And, something that's so special is, you communicate with gestures every day because you are deaf. And also what's really cool is that you communicate with gestures when you're painting as well. But not only that, you're painting gestures.
Yeah, it's amazing. Gestures, it's also an art language too. So it just totally come together.
And I bet our listeners are wondering how you can understand me right now if you are deaf.
Well, I'm reading your lips, but I also have captions on, so I'm using both.
Yeah. Amazing! So cool. All right, we'll go to Chelsea next.
Hello, I'm Chelsea Beaudrie. I'm an abstract artist. Sorry for the dog next door. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, and the dog's announcing your presence on this podcast.
They're saying, hey. So I'm an abstract artist. I've spent most of my life as a caregiver, both in my professional and my personal life. And painting is pretty new to me within the past few years. And I kind of stumbled across it by happenstance with helping one of my kiddos who have developmental disabilities and trying to get them to finish an art class online. So that's how I originally came about with doing that. But what I find is my work it's unintentional in design and content, and it's really just kind of pushing the social norms of being a woman and being a caregiver. And so really when I paint, it is letting go of the filters, and it's my unapologetic voice through layers and vibrant colors, just kind of prettying things up. In life, I always just kind of shine the light on what I wanted to see grow, and just had that filter constantly with everything I did. And painting is the one place that I can just let it go. And it's speaking that untold story that I have never been able to speak about global and my surroundings globally, socially, economically. And so, you'll see a lot of layers, a lot of colors, textures, just to be my unapologetic voice in abstract paintings.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, I love how you're saying that you've been a caregiver, and
Mhm.
a lot of women as well. Like, we are just conditioned by society to be caregivers.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
in that process, sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves, but
Yes.
your work is a reminder for us that that is super important.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes.
That is so cool. And Chelsea, how long have you been painting?
2.5 years.
Awesome. And Laurie, I didn't ask you this question. How long have you been painting?
I've been painting professionally for 8 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Kate, would you like to say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself and your work?
Sure. I'm a forager. I make sense of the world through the small details and take stock of the way things are put together, both in the living world, if we're going to call it nature, and in our social lives as well, like in our relationships and the way we relate to one another, the way we labor with our bodies, the way we navigate our emotional landscapes. And so my sculpture and installation is very detail oriented. It's very tactile. It's very biophilic and abundant. I'm weaving textures and surfaces with uncommon materials. I come from a textile background, a garment building background. So the body is always a consideration in my work and just sort of in my perspective generally. And so I bring that into my work. I bring that into my object making in a way where these forms that I'm building become a transformation of their original materials. They become sort of like, they start to embody this vibrancy in these discards and these things that vacillate between the valuable and the invaluable, and the teeter-totter that the things around us kind of like arbitrarily are assigned, whether we should care about them or not. And that care ethic for materials is so foundational to the way that I approach the sort of exploratory processes that build my forms, and just the ethic that I bring to my practice generally. I treat my studio like a closed ecosystem, learning from nature all the time, ways to process nutrients, learn from cyclical ways that nature works, never discarding anything, always turning something into something else, death into regeneration. And I think that's like tremendously important perspective to take in these times of uncertainty and these times of ambivalence, which isn't a bad thing. This is how we process our world, and taking that view of abundance amongst the chaos is what I kind of face every day.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. And Kate, I'm going to jump the gun and say you've got some very cool residencies coming up all over the place, but where are you located now? Do you want to tell us?
Yeah, I live in Queens, New York. I live and work in studio in Astoria, a longtime neighborhood of mine that I love dearly. And I have the opportunity, I have the fortune to receive a few really outstanding places to travel to this year, and be in sort of wild landscapes among all of those living systems and organisms in Alaska, hopefully, in Colorado, in Washington State, which is vital to my perspective that I bring back into the studio, and really to just like my being as a whole, to be, to find that space in the silence, the stillness that I need to make it work.
Thank you. And Kate, how long have you been working? How long have you been an artist?
I've been an artist, I would, let's say like 15 years. Yeah, I've been working in steady ebbs and flows in my practice for the last 15 years. And I've had the opportunity to realize other people's dreams in in all kinds of making in different ways as well. But my practice has always been a steady flow. Sometimes it's a raging river, and sometimes the creek is more of a trickle, but it's always present in life.
And have you always been making 3-dimensional or work in the round?
Yeah, I mean, like it's always been something I want to relate to the objects that I make. I want to like see things in the world. And so the 3 dimensions are pretty important to me. I've started to kind of put things on the wall every once in a while, but like I said, I come from this textile background, and it's a garment building background. And so the body is always a consideration. And in that way, I bring that same perspective into my sculptural work.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kate. Ariana, hello. How's it going?
Hi, everyone.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Ariana Tavares, and I'm a Brazilian artist based in Brooklyn, New York. My intention is to capture the vibrant colors of tropical plants, especially those native to Brazil. And growing up in Brazil, I was surrounded by plants because they're everywhere. They're in like people's homes, they're in the cities, in the forest, rainforest and other forests. And that's what I tend to do with my paintings.
I love that. And you have something very exciting coming up very soon. And I just want you to tell everyone.
I have an upcoming solo exhibition in Brazil next month.
Yay! And would you tell us where it is and when it opens? Because, we might have some listeners in Brazil.
Yes, sure. It's gonna be in my hometown, Goiânia, and it opens on April 12th. And on my Instagram, I'll share more details.
I love that. And we'll have everybody's website and Instagram linked in the show notes for you. Thank you so much for these beautiful introductions. I wanted to ask you, before you signed up for the course, where were you in your career and what propelled you to sign up? Yes, Chelsea.
So before I signed up for the course, I'm fairly new to, I'm quite new to the art world. And so really I was just making art, every day making art. And I was incredibly fortunate coming right into the art scene of being able to have shows and with various galleries. However, what I realized was that I didn't know what I was doing, and what I mean by that is I was painting, and with my work, it's unintentional. I didn't know how to explain what it was that I was doing. It was just, yep, I'm an abstract artist, and I paint large scale, and really not having that understanding. I initially had a website and I took it down. I had someone do it for me, took it down. didn't feel right. There was all of these variables in hindsight, looking at it after, it's like, it all fell into place when I did the Artist Academy. I mean, really, it truly did. Because I remember this. So I knew I wanted to do more. I wanted to explore more of who I was as an artist. And rather than just getting into a gallery and showing your work, there's so much more to it than that. And I'm also an art collector. And so for me, I realized there was a huge disconnect because I had purchased art from other people and other artists. And a huge part of that was purchasing their art because it was purchasing part of them, is the better way to say it. It was an extension of them, and that mattered. And I didn't have that. I recognized, so I knew I needed to find something. So I was very fortunate to find you and the Artist Academy. And additionally, I remember this aha moment in the first, or maybe it was the second class, but, broke us into groups. And I was saying something to another artist, and I remember stopping and thinking, that's really interesting. And I realized something about myself and why I made art. And then we came back together, and I remember you saying, yeah, Chelsea, this makes sense. You make lemonade out of lemons. So,
Yeah.
do you remember this?
Yes.
And it was this, it just made me realize, yes, that is what I'm doing. It is. And it took me all the time. It wasn't like, oh, I had that and that was it. It took me that moment to open the doors of realizing what it was I was doing. And it was invaluable to me. And it has changed who I am, how I present myself, because I'm now authentic in my work. I realize, yeah, this is who I am. And it took me having all of these amazing artists and truly just meeting all these wonderful artists and hearing their stories and seeing them develop has been wonderful. I'm sad to put it to an end,
Yeah.
And the gratitude I feel for everything you do. You're so knowledgeable. The way you've put things together for artists, it's just genius. I mean, truly, not being a stroker, really, truly.
Thank you. She's already got her grade.
Woman, yeah, as a businesswoman, I will say it's important. You can come across all sorts of people that will tell you they will do all sorts of things for you. And typically 90% of the time, I have found they fall short. And you far exceeded my expectations, truly. And I feel like I'm ready to go on and be an authentic artist.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. And, I got to say, I may have done one thing, and that's given you a direction and knowledge, but all of you here have done everything else.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
You did it yourself. You had
but we didn't know we could.
Yes. I know.
Right.
Yeah.
And how, right? Wow. I mean, those are things. So while you're giving us the, praises, but truly the thing is that it is an investment that every artist should take when they are ready to do it. Because yes, I'm sure people could find their way, and not everyone could, I mean, truly, but you have a way that you've set this academy up that it really does give artists the ability to focus on all the multifaceted parts of being an artist, because a good part of it is business. It is not just what you make. It's understanding what you make, how to present it, where to present it, all of those variables.
Yeah.
So you nailed it. You did a great job.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chelsea.
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful for
Thank
that.
you.
And for you.
Thank you.
And how about you, Laurie? What?
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where were you before?
Before I took the program, I was already doing those. I already had exhibitions, and I even created a 5-person show, and so I did a lot already. But the one thing I knew, like, I needed help in how to present myself better. I knew how to find the galleries, because I knew my weakness is there. I'm not good at styling, so I just wanted to find the galleries that can do that for me, so I can focus on making art. And also there was something else. Before I started, I was painting people and also painting figurative. So there were two.
Wait, you were painting people and refrigerators?
Figurative, yeah.
Wow.
So I was painting portraits.
Okay.
Painting portraits with sign language, and then I was also working on a figurative body of work as well.
Oh, figurative.
Separate, yeah.
Yes.
Separate bodies of work, and
so
I
people
couldn't figure
who
out.
were doing sign language and then just figurative work. So
Yeah.
two separate bodies of work.
Yes.
And
And so I just didn't know how I could present myself. That way. But then when I took the program, had several things happen. We had a one-on-one meeting, and you showed me a way of how I can tie them all together, and they all have a common theme: the hands, the gestures, and it was like, aha, that's the intent. So we talked about intent a lot, and so now with that in mind, I can approach my work, and not worry about it. Is it going to fit this? Is it going to fit that? Just do it because the intent is there, no matter what the subject is. Yeah. And so that was the thing. And also, I didn't have that much of a confidence, in who I was, what I do, that. So coming into the program, the mindset, So coming in, with a little bit of not really sure about myself, and just now I know where I'm going, what I want, and where I'm going now.
I love that. And, speaking of mind shifts and knowing where you're going, right? And things like that, I want to hold that thought for a second because, it sounds to me like from the idea here with this program is that it gave you the knowledge of knowing where you're going and the knowledge to feel perhaps powerful in the art world. And I could talk a lot about that power. Cosmically, I know a lot of the things that I teach in this program are very practical and very hands-on and, almost in scientific in a way, right? But there's one thing that I always invite in, and that is just allowing ourselves to trust the universe and be a little bit more woo-woo sometimes. And one thing I can tell you is that there's a huge cosmic shift right now in astrology. And I am not an astrologer, so I am not super smart when it comes to this at all, but I believe that the planet Pluto is moving into a place right now where it hasn't been since 1777, which was back during like the French Revolution. And the astrologers are saying that there's going to be a huge shift in power. And that's what's coming. And I was actually just scrolling through Instagram, and one of the artists I'd worked with said, hey, the artist side and the power side. I mean, it was something about something. And I thought to myself, I never thought of it that way, that it felt like that much of a divide. And this course really teaches you that you are so powerful. Without you, there is no art world. And that's something that's so important for you to remember, because, without you, there is no art. I mean, sure, maybe there's historical art, right? But there's no contemporary art world without artists. And one thing that I teach you in my class is that galleries, they listen to those people that bring them opportunity, that essentially, I always say, follow the money. Who brings the gallery the money? And it's always the collector, but also the artist, right? The artists that show there bring them money. And so very good galleries will listen to the artists who are showing there as well, right? So that's really interesting. Now, I wanted to ask you, speaking of things you've learned in this course, and Laurie, I appreciate your aha moment when I explained to you that you can create a story that is authentic to your intention and connects to seemingly disparate bodies of work, which were your figurative paintings, and then paintings of people making gestures, or people doing, or people with who are differently abled, right? So that's really cool to hear. But I wanted to see if anyone else wanted to share any aha moments or major like things that they learned that will help other artists listening to this podcast.
Just kind of piggybacking on what I was saying. And I mean, I suffer from some serious imposter syndrome. And I think what I've learned is so many artists do. Since taking the course, I don't as much. And I think the reason being is that my art is my art, and it is an extension of me. And it is, another way of giving back to the world. And you're right, there would be no culture. I mean, art is culture, and we are creating it. I just was reading this yesterday, I think. And so what this academy does is it helps you understand that, yes, there are millions of abstract artists, there are millions of sculptors, sculpturists, there's so many various types of artists, but your art is just as important to different people. But it's understanding what it is that you're doing and presenting it to those people. I think that alone is what is so important, is understanding who wants to see your work, right? And so that was another aha moment, right? And there was a conversation that we had, is from all the people that purchased your work, and realizing, oh my gosh, there are commonalities, whether it's the shoes, or what music they listen to, or where they live, all of those things. And so it really does play a part. So I don't know if that was helpful, but that's something that really did stand out to me.
That's huge. That's huge, Chelsea. Thank you so much. Kate, you have your virtual hand up. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a lot of talk from Chelsea and Laurie sort of about this authenticity piece. And I think it's can get overused or misused, and I don't think you two are. However, I think that it goes beyond that a little bit. Like, I think like the language needs to be extrapolated. Like, we need to go through like deeper into this, because I think it's a matter of like standing in your selfhood, which is like no small feat.
Yes.
And it is like working with you, Marina, has helped me not apologize for that, to feel no need to justify it other than the fact that I'm speaking my own language. And, it's within my right to like communicate, like let people understand it, or like encourage people to understand it. And in my case, I really do want to like let people understand what I'm trying to communicate clearer, communicate in a way that like makes myself allows myself to be known, which has been a very hard thing in different parts of my life and different parts of my practice over the years, particularly coming out of the pandemic. The pandemic was incredibly difficult in my practice. And I think it's because like that, if we're asking for like an aha moment, it's sort of this unapologetic idea of self, and recognizing that is what powers the art world, and that allows you to build a community around you to support you. And that includes like things you might call networking, like galleries and other arts professionals and things like that. Those people are really your community. Those are people who can help you. They're your allies. They are not a stepping stone. They are not like someone to be like looking for a transaction from. They are people, and they are people that you can deeply engage with if the sort of stars align. But those stars, like, you have some control of them. Like, you get to hold some of them in your hand by like grasping onto like who you are authentically as an artist and what you're trying to communicate, and like allowing that communication to be disseminated and to be to be shared with other people. Because I think like there's tremendous power in that, and that is sort of the difference between like languishing a little bit, or feeling this sort of like perpetual imposter syndrome, or just perpetual kind of like back and forth, like I'm not quite ready, I'm not sure, I'm not these things, rather than stepping into your powers, stepping into your selfhood, and like recognizing this is what I do, and I'm more joyful and more embodied and more like I'm having more fun in my life because I'm recognizing it for myself for what it is, and then I'm allowing other people to like come on the journey with me,
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And just, quick question here, but I think it's so interesting that you're saying like you've allowed us to unapologetically accept selfhood, or like express selfhood. Where have you heard that that's not a good thing to do?
I think we hear it all the time. We hear it all around us. I mean, we're sitting in a group, we're sitting in a group as femme presenting humans here, and we are told all of the time that we are second rate, like we are, or less than this like patriarchal lens that we live in. And then we're marginalized as artists too. We're marginalized as like creative, like sensory humans who with these very sensitive antennas to the things around us and the things inside of us that drive us, that make us feel things. And that, like the world around us is not as gentle as it could be, and hopefully it will be sooner than later.
Right. Power shift is coming.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here for it. And so I think creatives are not given the sort of like keystone species status that they should have. And I think the more that we can embody that as artists, the way that we can embody that as individuals and creative contributors to our culture and our society, the better off we're going to be, because we're going to have to keep saying it. Like, we're going to be the ones to develop the language to say these things to people who don't quite understand. And it's okay that people have different perspectives and have different understandings, but that's like the beauty of language and the beauty of communication.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Thank you. Yes. Ariana, what was your kind of like aha moment?
I think it was also the authenticity, but the fact that we can approach things with an open mind, and that's okay when we don't know how it's going to happen, because like for my solo show, I could never predict how this opportunity would come to me. And I remember in the first module, you said something like, anything is possible. And I kept repeating that to myself, anything is possible, anything is possible. So that was a huge aha moment for me.
And tell us, how did your solo show come about?
It's a really funny story.
Yes.
I had this idea for this series that I'm working on right now, inspired by begonia plants. And since I had this trip planned to Brazil, I thought, hey, I'm gonna make this series and I'm gonna show the series there. And I talked to my therapist, which is Brazilian, and I told her about my idea, and she said, I happen to have a friend that she has a gallery, and I'm going to introduce you to. And then she introduced us, and I sent her my CV, my some images of my work, and my elevator pitch translated in Portuguese.
I love that.
And everything worked out. So yeah.
I love
so that's okay when we like have the intention, have the dream, but we don't know how it's gonna
happen.
like present.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of those things that I keep saying is, and yeah, anything is possible. Anything can happen. Just don't worry about how, just trust that it will. And
Sure.
because when you start to think about how it's going to happen, you tend to have, you might not see some of the possibilities, right? Or you might be so focused, like tunnel vision on how you think it's going to happen, but it'll happen a different way. If there's somebody listening that's they're like on the fence, they want to do this program and they're concerned for some reason, whether it's the investment that they're making with, the financial investment, or the time, or they're thinking, hey, is this right for me? Or most importantly, it sounds too good to be true. Is this real? Is this like a beautiful $15 wedding dress that I'm seeing on the internet? That's like going to come and look like a paper bag. So yeah, what would you tell those people?
So, Marina, I think I was saying earlier that, I actually had an experience, and they're wonderful humans. So I'm going to say that right off the bat. But, about a year and a half ago, I was feeling very overwhelmed with trying to figure things out because I had a couple gallery shows set. Anyways, it was for photographers, and it was a wonderful program, but it just really didn't fit my needs. And so I did some one-on-one, and it still kind of got me in the right direction of realizing what I wanted, what I didn't want. But if anyone is even contemplating about trying to understand where they fit in the art world, I really think that's a big part of it. What they want, just all of those things, you really should do it. Don't even think twice, because the investment comes back tenfold immediately, truly, financially and emotionally, spiritually, all of those things. Since doing the program, as far as selling my work has increased significantly. How I present my work has just, it feels so much better for me. And just so much, it's so real. But if you're looking at just from a financial standpoint, that, don't even second guess that. That'll be coming back to you just naturally, because you're putting yourself out there, and people are starting to see who you are as an artist, and you are seeing who you are as an artist.
Amazing. And I'm so honored to hear that. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, Laurie.
I started I did that free workshop that you had.
Yeah, the free workshop.
And I was really interested in it. But being being in Canada with the Canadian dollar and not quite at par with the US dollar, and I just thought, I don't know if I can take this right now. I could say that for the next one maybe. But then Marina, she convinced me to take it, And so
how did I convince you? How did I convince you, Laurie?
I can't remember.
And I know how I convinced you. I may have told you that yes, it's an investment in yourself, but also it's an investment in growth. And sometimes we want to stay safe in our safe zone, right? Because growth, growth can feel uncomfortable because we don't know what it's like. It's something that's unfamiliar.
Yes, now I remember.
Be reaching new heights, and so don't put it off. Don't put yourself off.
That's it. I remember that now. Yeah. You're saying, it's like if you take it now, you can see results. Like if you wait, you're putting your life on hold for another year. That's what you said.
Yeah.
You're putting your life on hold. Yeah. Nothing but that got me. Yeah.
Love that. Ariana, you had your hand up. You were like, maybe I have something to say.
Yeah, on that same note, whenever I'm about to sign up for a program or buy anything, like in terms of like any courses or any programs, I have a mantra that I always tell myself, it's safe to invest in myself. So it makes it like, it feels safer when I know that I'm like putting this time and money and making this investment, but I know it's for like to better myself. And Marina is very generous with her knowledge and her time, so I wouldn't second guess making this decision.
Thank you, Ariana. That's so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and Kate, was that a wave, or you wanted to say something?
A lot of what Laurie and Ariana and Chelsea have said, I agree with. But I think something that hasn't been touched upon is that just there are things that are part of being an artist that are just, it is good to think of them as a business expense because there's just so many demands of our time and attention. And if there are resources available to help make things less of a challenge, that is a commitment to yourself. That is a commitment and investment to yourself to treat yourself better, frankly, to treat yourself better and well as an artist so that you can focus on your work and take a path of less resistance towards some of these other things that continue to be hangups or to continue to be hard. And like to sort of change your mindset and to have a resource that like the Artist Academy is very much speaks to that, because I will be very transparent. I seek mentorship all over the place. I am working with art advisors and critique groups and things like that, because I know that they are very beneficial to me. There's something I respond to well, and I know that I can glean a lot of growth from those places. But I think something unique to your program is the focus is very specific. It's very unique to you and your perspective, your expertise, what you bring to your care for artists, and the sort of practicals. There are a lot of like practical things you talk about, I think, that get glossed over and get muddied into the sort of realm of the creative work. And those things are important too, and that work is always happening, but like all of it has to happen in order to really thrive beyond like one's own expectations. And that is a really, really unique aspect of the thing to the thing that you've built.
Hey, thank you all so much. I really appreciate the time you've taken to work with me and to do this, to come on the podcast and tell others about it. I am so grateful, and I'm so proud of all of you. Like, it's amazing. And like I said in the beginning, yes, I'm proud of you, but you did it all on your own. And you had the power all along. So, yeah.
Thank you. And you showed us that, Marina. That's the reality of it, right?
Thank you so much for listening. Now, if you listened attentively, you may have heard Laurie tell you about a workshop that she took with me. And that workshop is really something that I'm doing again very, very soon. If you're listening to this podcast and the day that it comes out, you're in time, and maybe even the day after, because on Monday, March 27th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, I will be teaching a free live masterclass followed by a live Q&A. Like I said in the beginning, this is all live, right? Like I am there with you, on how you can get in front of the right people so that you can show more and sell more. And in this class, I'm going to teach you how you can truly do that. So if you're interested, go ahead and register. The link is in the show notes. And for you, my special listeners here on the Artist Advisory Hotline, if you are interested in the Artist Academy, I would love to extend a special discount to you only through March 29th at midnight Eastern. That discount is 20% off using the code podcast20. The link is in the show notes for you to learn more. If you have any questions about the masterclass or the program, go ahead and shoot us an email, info@theartistadvisory.com. Now, if you are listening to this after the masterclass has been live or you're unable to make it, there will be a limited time replay available on YouTube. And I will also link that in our show notes once it becomes available. The only thing I want you to know that if you're listening to this on certain platforms, it might not update that link right away. But if you don't see it, go ahead and shoot me an email, info@theartistadvisory.com, and I'll email you the link to the replay. The replay will be available for a limited time only through March 30th at midnight Eastern. I know I'm asking you to mark your calendar so many times. So thank you so much. You can just tick me in like every day of the week, except I guess Tuesday. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you so very much for listening.
Thank you so much for listening. Support your community by sharing this podcast, leaving a review, and follow the Artist Advisory on Instagram at @the_artist_advisory, and visit us online at www.theartistadvisory.com.